It's looking good. Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Have you ever lost your quilting mojo? I've got just the quilt to get you back in the game. Enough talking already, let's do this. What is RGB and what is an RGB shadow, right? RGB is the term used in digital and computer displays and technology, things that show pixels and whatnot. It actually stands for red, green, blue, RGB. You've probably been exposed to RGB if you're as old as I am, and you would ever see when the TV would go off at night and it would show some of those colors. Well, that was some of what RGB is. It's just taking red, blue, and green as like pixels, colors, and meshing them together to get the different colors on the color wheel. But they're only using red, green, and blue. When you take those colors, red, green, and blue, and you separate them, and then you slightly offset them, this is called a shadow or trailing effect of the colors. And visually, what we see is almost like the colors are vibrating in a sense. You can do this with pictures, and you can do it with text, and yes, you can even do it with a quilt. I get so inspired by some of the stuff that you all send me in my email. Leads me to today's video. I got a message from a follower who sent me a picture of this quilt. She was so excited. She wanted to know if I was able to just make this. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's just strips of fabric and squares, right? Yeah. It's a super simple quilt, but it's all about placement of color. I want to make sure that I give due justice to the pattern writer of this quilt called Modern Grooves, and you can look that up. She does have a PDF download pattern of this, which I did not buy. I don't even know, what sizes she used. I don't even know the sizes. All I did was look at some of the quilts that were online, and I was able to figure it out. It's all about placement though, so I do want to give her credit for that. I do believe that my measurements are totally different, and we are going to put a border around this. So now as far as yardage goes, I don't know, I didn't figure that out, but hey, I can't do everything, right? So you can see how simple this quilt really is. This is everything you're going to need in a nutshell. The one thing we're going to do different than any other quilt that I've seen online is we're going to make this a scrappy RGB shadowing glitchy illusion quilt. Now friends, there's only 2 blocks in this quilt and they're right here, and this is the placement. I've taken my white piece and my black piece and I have put the aqua color here, the yellow onto the right of it, and then I have green and green, all done in scrappy. Some of these are alike in the other parts of the quilt, but for the most part, everything is just different. And some have prints on them and some don't. I even scrapped it up even more, and I used a tone-on-tone other white fabric in different parts of the quilt, just because I don't know. When I did that though, the tone-on-tone, I made sure that these cornerstones were also tone-on-tone, because you can throw yourself off a little bit visually if you don't do that. Now I did end up keeping this same black fabric throughout the whole quilt. I didn't intermix, but you can, if you want. I found though that when I did try to incorporate a black that had some kind of design on it, a print, that it didn't work very well. So yeah, so that's all it is, friends, is just 2 blocks. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put right sides together, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Finger press that back, and then I'm going to grab the green and put that on here. Now I did want to mention that when you choose your aqua color, there's 2 different ways you can go here, and one is more blue aqua and the other is more green aqua. I chose to go more green aqua on this quilt rather than the blue aqua. I think that it's best to stay in that color scheme, whichever one you choose, because if you go blue, aqua, and green, aqua throughout, it's not going to be consistent, and I think it's going to throw your eyes off. So that's the way I would do it. So there's that. Now I'm going to take the green, and you can see here I even chose a scrappy print. And I did notice on the original quilt though that this part was skinnier, so that's how come I think I do have a totally different measurement, because mine are a little bit thicker after all was said and done. So, and I don't even know if this is the same. I was just kind of going with it visually, but I hope it works out for you all if you make it. It is really easy to get these mixed up too, so just be careful where your placement is. So these are always going to be the opposite in these blocks. This white one will crisscross with that white one, and a green will crisscross there. And the same goes here with the black and then the purple color. And this aqua is on the left side of the block. So then you're just going to line that up and sew that on 1/4 inch. So easy, friends. I mean, this is one of the simplest quilts. Like I said, it's more about the color placement. I almost think too, doing it scrappy, that I gave it like almost like a watercolor effect. It does give it, you know, something a little different. So on these blocks right here, I did end up, on the white ones anyways, I pressed away from the seam allowance there so that you couldn't see the line underneath it. And on the black one, I pressed that toward the dark side there. Line that up. These measurements, they're pretty precise too, so I didn't really leave a whole lot of leeway when it came to trimming and all that. So if you tend to make a wider seam allowance or a shorter seam allowance, then you need to make sure that you adjust for that. We're going to press this toward the colored side. We'll trim this in just a second, but I just pressed that real nice. And now we're going to go and do the black one. Again, friends, just 2 blocks. That's it. This quilt looks way more than what it is. And then you're going to grab your little purple rectangle. Grab your little purple one and add it onto your blue one. And you can see here, I even chose polka dot fabric. Anything goes, friends, scrappy wise, anything. I just made sure that I didn't have too much white within the color because I wanted more of that saturation. Let's press these. Again, you want to make sure that you have opposites here. It's not the first time that I've seen one of these RGB quilts. I actually saw one of the first ones I'd ever seen was at QuiltCon, if you can believe it. Well, yeah, you can probably. Because QuiltCon is more of a modern feel. And I was really impressed with it because I thought, wow, how did they do that? But again, friends, it's all about that visual placement. So this one, I'm going to press toward the black because you can't see it. I can see I'm off a little bit. You see, I must have stretched a little bit of fabric there, but because you are going to have to line these up here, you know, if you want your points to match anyways. I could tell on some of my other ones that I didn't do a very good job of that, but so that's something else to keep in mind. So I'm going to go press this toward that black fabric. So now we have these 2 blocks right here done. What I'm going to do is trim them to 12.5 inches square. And you can see this is how much I've taken off right there. Let's trim this one. This was so much fun to make, friends. I really had so much fun picking out all of my scraps, finding the right colors, and just, you know, it was just fun. You know how nerdy we get, quilt nerds. I am just making sure that I have the same amount of color on both sides here. That's kind of what I'm really making sure of, because sometimes strips, when you have, you know, 2.5 inch strips of fabric and they're cut from salvage to salvage, you get that bowing effect sometimes when you press. So that's what I'm looking at here. I just want the same amount. All right, so there you have both of your blocks. So I realized after I had sewn those and I was showing you and filming it, I had them backward. This is the placement, the red, the blue, the aqua, and then the yellow. So the blue and the aqua are next to each other in the right orientation. Okay, let's see what I've got done so far. So now where was I? Back to my design wall, right? A lot of you have been asking me in the comment section, how is my design wall holding up? It's amazing. It's a no-brainer. Everyone needs one in their sewing room. I mean, hands down. Everything just clings beautifully to this. I have a full tutorial on my channel, so you'll want to be sure and check that out. I will link it below. So hopefully you can see that this is coming together now. It's important to note that when you have your greens, they're going to be opposite each other here, almost like a little checkerboard here. And your blacks are going to be together, your whites, and the purples, the greens, and so on and so forth. It's looking good. So much fun. Oh my goodness. I want to bring the camera over here so you can kind of see. Hopefully this angle's not too crazy for you. So here's that black one that I just had done. And we're going to put that like so. And then we're going to, let's see, it goes blue, aqua, yeah. See, it's really easy to get mixed up for sure. Yeah. Oh my word, it looks so cute, right? I just love the scrappiness of it. So now what I'm gonna do is add those 2 on, and then we will put the rows together. I could have gone about it a couple different ways. I had first thought about putting a white around this as a border at first, and then maybe a black around that, or the black first and then a white. But in the end, I decided that just a black border was gonna work awesome with this quilt. It was going to really bring out these vibrant colors that are in here. 6 inches in width, and you'll wanna go however long your quilt is. Of course, you know it's not a day in the sewing channel over here unless I have to unpick like a major thing, right? Well, it's not exactly a major thing, but it's enough to make you mad. Good thing I noticed it though before I went any further and like quilted it. I'm just trying to get a good run here with this. So yeah, I'm just gonna unpick this square right here and flip it. You know, I knew there was a problem because I seen this right here, these 2 blues together, and I thought, well, that ain't right, is it? And then I just didn't second guess it anymore and I just sewed it. I should have known though, right? So let me get this unpicked and then I will sew it back in, and then we will resume putting on the borders. So I've taken my border and I've put it on the sides first. So I have both of my sides sewn down. Now I'm going to sew on the tops. This quilt is coming together so fast. Really, it's really quite amazing. It's so simple, but yet it makes a really big impact on the eyes. Some people won't even be able to look at it. I showed my husband when I was partway done with it last night, and he was like, ooh, And I was like, what? He goes, ooh, it kind of hurts my eyes a little bit. So I don't know if you guys are in that camp or not. Does it hurt your eyes to look at it? I think our eyes are really trying to focus on it, but yet it can't because it's not focusable, right? This is a really neat quilt. I really want to thank Modern Groove for putting out such an awesome pattern. It's so inspiring. Okay, friends, the border's on. Let's see. Look at how nice that sticks. I mean, right? This wall is amazing. Oh yeah, I love it. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is sandwich this quilt, but we need to find a backing first because I don't know what in the heck to use for it. So here's the thing. This is going to have to be part 1 of 2 videos because I checked my stash and I don't have anything that looks good for backing on this quilt. So I need to go shopping. I really do hope that this quilt has inspired you like it inspired me to get my quilting mojo going again. Be sure to go over to Modern Groove and get your pattern if you can't visually get it like I did. Be sure and tell them the Sewing Channel sent you. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.